most women, I would say pretty much every woman at one point or another, is going to find herself in a dynamic dating situation or, God forbid, in a relationship with a man who does not have a provider mindset. He is a non-provider. And that mindset, it's financial, but it's also non-financial as well. And that kind of man, if you find yourself with him, if you stick around, you are going to end up getting hurt. You're going to end up feeling drained. You're going to negatively impact your feminine self-worth. You're going to feel more like a man by the end of it. You're not going to have a good time. And it's going to take probably a long time to recover from it. And also, if you don't have this information, if you don't understand masculine and feminine polarity and the proper roles that go along with it, you may also end up really confused, thinking like, what did I do wrong? This is going to clear all of that up, show you what kind of man a non-provider is, how to avoid them, and a little bit about how you can attract the right kind of man instead. And possibly also what to do if you find yourself, if you're already in a relationship with a non-provider man. Should you dump him, or what can you do? All right, so hello, I am Zach Rohde. I am here to lead you into creating the relationship of your dreams by learning how to inspire a man into cherishing you with your feminine energy and with what I call feminine communication. If you have not yet subscribed to this channel, make sure you do that below, hit the notification bell, and be sure to like this video because I am going to make sure it's a good one for you today. And if you would like to learn how to shift out of all of your unhealthy control patterns and learn how to inspire a healthy man, make sure you go below this video, open up the description. It has all of my offers there, and click on thedreamrelationship.com. That's going to take you to my free webinar for women to learn what you need to do to get results in your love life. Okay, so the non-provider man. What's great about both Facebook and YouTube is I get so many comments. I mostly get comments from people who love what I'm teaching, but I do get comments from people who really don't, who get triggered by it. And I love that because that can often be just as inspiring for me to make a video as the women and men who make comments that are supportive or ask questions. So the reason that this one inspired me was basically a comment on my post that I had made about why a woman should never give a man money. And he had asked, is this true in the reverse as well? Should a man never give a woman money? And I said, no. And he said, F that. And then I laughed. I didn't comment again. And this just highlights the non-provider mindset. Because here's the thing, there are many different men out there, and most men are undateable, or they should be undateable. You shouldn't touch them with a 50-foot pole. They are going to ruin your life. They're going to make you miserable. And for some of those men, it's just because they're weak and they have no sense of self and they're simps and they're approval seekers and you're not attracted to them. But you don't have to worry about them too much because you're not going to be attracted to them. So, you're not even going to go probably on a first date with them, or certainly not a second. But more sneaky is the man who is attractive, or at least at first, until you find out more about him. You do like him, he's confident in himself, but he has a non-provider mindset, which means that he does not feel that really strong desire to want to take care of you, to want to financially provide for you, to want to, buy you gifts and just do whatever he can to make you feel special. He's not chivalrous. Right, so he's not pulling out chairs for you, that kind of thing. I will focus more just on the financial provision aspect, though. So that means he doesn't love paying for dates. I didn't say he doesn't pay for dates. I'm saying he doesn't love paying for dates. There's a world of difference between a man who pays for dates out of obligation versus a man who pays for dates because he just loves taking care of his woman. Now, I understand this mindset really well because that was me most of my life. Even when I met my wife and even after I married my wife for the first 2 years or so, I had that mindset, the non-provider mindset. I kind of saw relationships as like, we'll say like partnership is kind of like being a roommate. Like we're both basically the same. We're taking care of each other. We're not in really clear defined roles. Even though I was more in the masculine role overall, it was more from a selfishness perspective rather than from a mindset of, oh, I'm in this leadership role to take care of my woman. So these men don't enjoy taking care of a woman. They don't enjoy paying for dates. They think that a woman should be paying for dates half the time, or at least some of the time. This means that his masculine instinct isn't online. That doesn't mean that he's not confident, okay? But, going back years ago, I was really confident in myself. Like one of the most confident men you could imagine. I was also very successful with women. Okay, I went on tons of dates with women. Several relationships, could have been in tons of relationships if I wanted to. I just didn't want to stick around because I was trapped in a man who does not have a provider mindset. He is energetically trapped in a child energy. He is still a boy. He's not a man. I'm not saying that in like a judgmental, like, hey, I'm like shaming men who are like this. It's just a wound, like it's trauma. And we all have trauma in different ways. It manifests in different ways. But you need to recognize this as trauma and know that yes, you really shouldn't be sticking around with that kind of man if you find out that a man doesn't have this mindset. And the reason why that's a boy mindset is a boy is still focused on like kind of me. That doesn't mean he can't also be generous at times or like do nice things. I was very nice. I was very friendly. I had some level of compassion and all of that. It's not like I'm just being an a-hole all the time and bitter and insulting people. No, I was very kind. I was very warm. But I didn't feel that strong desire to be in the role of I am providing for you. I am taking care of you. I am leading you. And don't take this the wrong way. Some women will love this, but some won't. The same dynamic is how a father should be with his daughter, right? A parent with their child, where it's like, I'm here to take care of you. Like that's the role. I am here to take care of you. What brings me joy is not that you're giving me all of this stuff back, right? Like I don't have a child, so they give me a whole bunch of stuff. No, the joy is that I get to take care of you. That's why we have our daughter. And that's why I derive so much joy from the dynamic with her, because I just get to give her all of my love through teaching her, through buying her things, by making sure she's comfortable, by comforting her when she cries, by correcting her and making sure that she's a better human being. That's the joy in itself. Now, of course, with a woman, there's going to be, we can call it things that the man is getting back, like sexual stuff. And a woman cooking for him and cleaning up, we could call all of that things that he's getting back, though it should all happen because the man is leading her to do it. But we could call it like more reciprocal than a child-father relationship, right? Because there is a lot of reciprocation in a very different way than it is with a child. It's just that the reciprocation is through her receptivity, through her submission, through taking care of him in a different kind of way. Again, like cooking him meals that probably not what the child is doing. And he does enjoy that. But understand, it's not that he's getting that stuff that makes him derive all of that pleasure. Okay, like my wife does that stuff for me. But what gives me the pleasure is that she is respecting me enough to follow my leadership when I tell her to do that. Okay, when I say, hey, you're in charge of the cooking, or like make this great meal for us, or whatever. Right? It is the receptivity that creates the joy for the man. But in the same way that when I take my wife out and I pay for her, and I'm the only one working, so it's fully 100% my money, my provision, and she's grateful for it, she's receiving that. And that's all I need. I don't need her to reciprocate in any other kind of way. I just need her to be receptive to my leadership and grateful for my leadership, for my provision, as much as possible. So that's a man whose masculine instinct is online. His provider mindset is fully online. He loves to provide because the providing and the receiving of that provision is what he derives the joy from. and that's it. But if a man doesn't have that instinct online, he's still stuck in some kind of childhood wounding through selfishness or through some fear of getting hurt or whatever it is, you're going to find that you could find that out relatively quickly. Like, you should be having conversations about this stuff. You should actually be feeling fear that you might be with that kind of man, even if he hasn't given any signs. And you should be using feminine communication to communicate that so you can find out what kind of man you're dealing with. Because he'll probably be somewhat honest, right? If you're asking, you're basically asking about his values, right? What are his values? My value, one of my values is I'm here to take care of my woman. I'm here to provide for my woman, my wife. And if I was single, my value is when I go out on dates with a woman, I'm there to fully provide. Now, a lot of the non-provider men today, a big part of the reason is this really deep insecurity because they've been burned before. This is really important to understand. The whole red pill community, the manosphere, it is filled with all of these really toxic, unhealthy men. I'm not saying they're all like that. It's a huge range. I used to be part of that community. So many would say I am part of that community in what I teach, but I like to distance myself from it because I'm teaching something much deeper than what is typically taught in those communities. Because what's often taught is this kind of like, it's this victim mindset that like, oh, I don't want to get used by a woman. I got used by this gold digger before, or, my wife who divorced me and took half my money and all this. Now, from now on, I'm always putting me first. I'm just going to be selfish. I don't want to pay for a woman. A woman and man should both be paying, all of that kind of stuff. And that's the wrong lessons to learn from that. Right? Like, the reason that a man got burned from that stuff in the first place is because, well, A, he picked the wrong woman, and B, he wasn't dominant enough to lead her into just naturally respecting him so much and being fully receptive to him. Right? Like, a man who's more beta, like more like more of a simp, we'll call it, beta, he's not dominant, he's not really strong in himself, he's going to attract women who tend to more be like users, like gold diggers. I don't think much of my audience, or maybe any of my audience, is like that. They're not generally going to be attracted to my material. My clients, for example, in my academy, it's typically women who, they're not gold diggers at all, but they want a man to be providing. They often feel a lot of shame and just bad that a man would do that, even though their instinct is calling towards that at the same time. But these men, because of this fear, it's very depolarizing, because now they're going to be selfish. Whether they're leading or not, they're going to be selfish, which means there's going to be a lack of polarity. A big part of the polarity, what creates this beautiful polarized dynamic, this dance where the man is leading and the woman is following, it's the man is giving to her, right? Like, he's giving to her through his leadership, always. So he's doing all this nice stuff and everything, but it's his choice, and she's receiving it. So if a man is selfish, if he's not in that provider instinct, he might be leading. I mean, it's even worse if he's not leading at all, but say he is leading, it's going to be a very messy dance, and the woman's just going to end up feeling hurt a lot of the time and confused, especially if he's a cool guy and like a generally good guy. Like, part of the issue with my wife and I in the first couple of years of our marriage is, I was inconsiderate too, but in general I was kind, I was warm, I was fun, I was really confident in myself. And so, a big part of her instinct is like, stay with this guy because it's very attractive. But at the same time, I was just inconsiderate and not in that provider mindset, which caused her a lot of frustration and resentment, because her need of being provided for financially and otherwise was not being fully met. And it never will be met with a non-provider. Your need will never be fully met. Your feminine instinct, the need to be taken care of, to be cherished, can never be met with a non-provider. With a man who doesn't love the idea of taking care of his woman financially and non-financially. Like, 10 years, even 5, well, it would be 6 years ago. 6 years ago, This would have been when I was married. So let's just say 10 years ago. So back before I was married. The idea of paying for a date just out of the joy of taking care of a woman, that would have sounded like the craziest idea ever. I only thought that weak simp men could ever think that was cool. And part of that was just because I was cheap. Part of that was because I didn't have a ton of money. But part of it was just because my instinct wasn't fully online. But today, say I was single, I'd be like, I mean, I just can't wait to take a woman out and pay for her and make her feel special. And be chivalrous and pull out chairs and make sure that her transportation is taken care of and plan everything. The problem is when a man isn't dominant, if he tries to do all of that stuff, to try to like please a woman in a weak way, like a people pleasing way, she's going to feel that. Like he could do all the right things, and lots of men are like this. He could do all the right things, but the woman's just going to be like, not really into this. I'm not really attracted. I don't know if I'm going to go on a second date. Or she goes on a few, but then it ends up not working. Because she's just not feeling that. Because her feminine instinct can feel he's not actually leading. He's submitting to her. It's actually complying, even though she's not trying to lead, through his people pleasing. That's what's happening. He's trying to be worthy enough for her by buying her things, by paying for the date, by giving her money, whatever it is. So she's going to lose that respect. She's going to lose that attraction. And then he's going to learn the lesson. Oh, like, man, like only losers do that, right? And then he becomes selfish. Not a good idea. You've got to be dominant and do this. You do it for you. Because like, yes, I'm taking care of a woman, but I'm doing it because I get so much joy of taking care of her. And not only that, I expect something as well. I don't just expect to pay for her and like she gets to be ungrateful and not say thank you and not be really appreciative and not follow my corrections when she does something disrespectful and not be receptive to what I'm teaching her and being late and making excuses and all this stuff, right? I would love to, and with my wife, yes, but like say I'm single, I love to provide for a woman, but not just any woman. A woman who is fully respectful to me, who looks up to me as her leader, even from the beginning, like date number one, like, oh, man, I look up to him, like, wow, he's just taking care of me. And she's just becoming putty and just following along, right? I need a woman who is fully receptive to me, fully respectful, doing what I tell her to do. And obviously what I'm telling her to do is out of devotion, out of care for her. I'm not saying, hey, come back to my place after one date and we're going to have sex. No, because it's devotional leadership, and that wouldn't be devotional. That is what's going to cause a woman to feel a lot of attraction and a lot of respect for a man, because she can feel he's doing it for the right reasons. He's not doing it for my approval. He's doing it simply because he enjoys taking care of me, and he has so much respect for himself that he is making sure that I am reciprocating so that it is an equal energy exchange, except that the leadership is not to get money back or anything. It's to get respect back through her submission, through receiving the direction that I'm giving her, that a man's giving her, right? Through the boundaries, through the corrections. That's what makes it reciprocal. That's what a dominant man with a provider mindset is going to be doing. And those kind of men, they're relatively rare today. I couldn't say exactly like what we're looking at as far as percentages. Certainly, there's a decent amount of those men, but a lot of them are in marriages or relationships already. So the number of single men, there's a lot less of them. And the difficulty for a woman is, what do you do if you don't know how to attract those men, if you're not finding them? Because they're out there and you can find them. You can attract those really masculine provider mindset men, and they want to claim you and they want to cherish you and they want to lead you towards marriage, but you need to know how, which means you need to be that kind of woman that they want, that they are attracted to. And if you want to learn how to be that kind of woman, or if you are with a non-provider man, but you want to learn how to inspire him into being the kind of provider man that you need him to be, if you want to learn how to do that, then you need to learn how to be embodied feminine woman. You need to learn feminine communication. You need to learn how to communicate your needs vulnerably, your feelings vulnerably. You need to learn how to wear your heart on your sleeve. You need to learn how to honor your heart all the time. And this is what I help women do. If you want to learn how to do that, then go below this video, open up the description. You're going to see all the links to my offers, my academy, my masterclass, my dating course. And then one really good one to start with, if you're not ready for any of those, is go to thedreamrelationship.com. That is my free webinar for women to learn how to shift out of your unhealthy control patterns and into an energy and communication that is going to inspire a man to want to claim you and cherish you.